All right, this time it's gonna work. Otherwise, I'm quitting live streams for good. Oh man, what a pain. Tell me if the audio's any good. Everything terrible has happened. I thought it was Pulseaudio. It probably is Pulseaudio. I thought it was OBS. It probably is OBS. It's probably a constellation of bad software that's been ruining my day. But I think just go ahead and say in the chat window, if the audio sounds good. Is it listenable? Or are there pops and stuff like that? Because if there aren't, we might as well do a real live stream. Because I've been yeah, okay. Everyone says it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't even know exactly what was going on, because the other day I tried to stream, and it was screwing up, it was popping, and I actually replaced Pulseaudio with Pipewire. And I tried Pipewire out, and it was working fine, but then I started streaming with Pipewire. Now, by the way, so for those of you who don't know who like to hate Pulseaudio, okay, there's this thing called Pipewire now that is basically a drop-in replacement for it. Like, I was surprised how easy it was to get it started. Like, it just, instead of starting Pulseaudio at the beginning, you start Pipewire and it works. And it worked perfectly, okay? But it screwed up with the live streaming, but I think Pulseaudio was screwing up in the same situations. I don't exactly know what's going on. I think the real problem, I could hypothesize about it, is that sometimes Pulseaudio or Pipewire doesn't detect all of my microphones right, all of my output devices when I boot up my computer. Because, like, my microphone is also an output device, which is really stupid, but, so, yeah. Anyway, I guess we can do a normal stream. If you want, I'll read donations, I'll read whatever, but if you're gonna give a donation, do not give it, I mean, you can give it through Super Chat, but do the link in the description or right there. That is way better. LukeSmith.xyz/donate, because YouTube, again, they always take like 30% of everything. I just want to get people in the habit of doing that. So I was also testing a stream on PeerTube, and it was having the same error. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just YouTube. But I'm thinking about actually having a chat with xmpp, which is like sort of a chat protocol, and I want to have it so that people can click on like a live streaming link, and it has like my window on one side and the chat on the other, or maybe, you know, I could just tell people how to use xmpp, because it's a very nice protocol, but I haven't really gotten into it, right? But I don't know if someone listening is a little bit more familiar with it than I am. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So in terms of news, I did a video the other day on my thing with the book reprinting, okay? And I think I might actually put out an ad, or maybe a request for one of you guys or someone else who has, like, I really want them to help build the website, to be honest. Not really the website itself, but the back end to it, because a lot of people told me in the comments section on that, oh, well, Shopify is a big pain. You don't really need to do that. You should use Lulu's API. That is, I could ideally interface with the API so that someone could buy something on my website, and then it automatically goes to their site, queues the order, ships it to their house. I don't touch their credit card information. I don't think I even touch their personal information. I don't know. I might have to. That would be the ideal. So if anyone is familiar, if you've done something using Stripe as a payment processor, I'm going to assume that most people have not used the Lulu API. But I will probably put out a sort of a call for people to do that if someone's interested in it. And I'd sort of like it to be free software, because I think it's the kind of thing that, I mean, just, you know, someone could put on the GitHub. Like, I saw examples of people using Lulu APIs on GitHub, but none of them were exactly what I needed. Yeah, so the fix was, for the audio, it's just restarting the computer a million times and getting lucky. It's so stupid. I think if I start the computer with my this big microphone plugged in, it'll screw up. And it won't detect my normal output device, which doesn't matter because I'm not listening to anything on my computer, but that somehow messes up Pulseaudio. It creates like a dummy device or whatever. It's a bunch of stupid stuff. So anyway, let's see. Lou. Okay. Got a donation that I will read. It says $5. Do you support the communist state exodus? What? My family has left has lived in Massachusetts for 400 years, but it's becoming borderline unlivable. Outside of the cities now. Even outside of the cities now. I mean, I don't know the actual state of a lot of those states. Like, I sort of make the assumption that, oh, well, maybe the people in the country are based. Or maybe even, like, the people in the cities are just, like, oblivious to what they're, I don't know, causing the rest of, like, the harm they're doing to the rest of the country. But, I guess the only thing I have to say well, I'll tell you this. People in real life, like people in my family or people who I know in real life, who occasionally watch my channel, they don't like it when I tell people to move into the country. Because they're like, no, Luke, you're going to bring a bunch of libtards out here, and we don't want them destroying our place too. You know what I mean? Because it's like liberals are basically like the aliens from Independence Day that, you know, they exploit one area, totally destroy it, ruin it by their own actions, and then they move to somewhere else. I mean, when I was a kid, dude, Georgia was a good place to live. It's not anymore. Or at least, like, the north part of Georgia where Atlanta is. And Atlanta's always freaking expanding. So, yeah, I would say, sure, if you want to leave a communist state, that's great. But you better not be one of them. Sorry. But, yeah, I don't know how it is. You know, I've always thought, I've only been to the Northeast really once in my life. I've never been to New York. Well, actually, I've been to D.C. maybe once or twice. I think, but it's been like, I was 10 years old or something like that. And I've been to Boston, but again, as like a really little kid. We had friends in Maine that we visited when I was a real little kid. But anyway, so I don't really have the feel for how the Northeast really is. Now I can tell, I've also never been to California or like the West Coast. I've never had the displeasure of going to one of those big cities. But based on what I know from living in Arizona, everyone from California is just like, oh my goodness, get these people out of here. You know, it's just, I don't know. I would hate, Tucson itself is sort of like a little city of California, you know, because it's like, you know, there are a bunch of liberals and stuff. All right. Let me pull up the chat too, just so I can see anything. Canada is totally unbased, literally advertises itself to commies, yeah. I mean, I heard on the news, like, even in Alberta, which is quote-unquote the conservative state, or province of Canada, the government, like, comes for churches that are meeting and stuff like that. Wow is better than Monero. Well, Wow sure went up a lot, so I feel weird. So, you know, I was thinking the other day, so there's all this stuff with, like, Dogecoin, because Elon Musk got a bunch of freaking normies to put their life savings into this stupid meme currency, and then a bunch of them went poor, you know, lost everything they had because they bought Dogecoin super high. But I will say this, when I did my video on Monero a couple months ago, you know, a lot of people brought up that Monero, it has what detractors call an infinite supply. It's really tail emission, like, so there's never a point where the mining rewards go to zero. They're just at a really small amount. Once they get down to that base level. So there's actually a fork. If you don't believe in that kind of stuff, there is a fork of Monero called Wownero. And when I did a video on Monero, a lot of people brought this up, and they were like, oh, I don't want an infinite supply coin. So I recommended, well, not recommended people, but I said, okay, there's Wownero. You can get some of that if you wanted it. And I will say, if someone FOMO'd into Wownero, when I randomly mentioned it in a comment section, you made like, well, I'll just say when I mentioned it, it was like 2 or 3 cents. Now it's like more than $1. So when I didn't expect that. But like a bunch of privacy coins have been going up as well. I mean, Monero went up a good bit, but like Wownero totally mooned. Then Pirate Chain, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, it actually increased even more. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't necessarily. A lot of people I think get bored by cryptocurrency talk. Excuse me, so I won't belabor it unless people specifically ask. Let's see. Elon is cringe. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get cringe feelings from him. I don't want to judge him. I mean, I think him recommending things merely as a meme, I think, is a little questionable. Like, even if you hear what I just said about Wownero, I don't want you to FOMO into it or anything else. Like, do your research. You're responsible. So I feel weird, especially with financial things. Like, he'll just take it as a joke. And for better, he might mean it as a joke. But there are a lot of people who take that really seriously. I'm not trying to say that he's like responsible for them being irresponsible, but there is a sense in which dumb people are just going to follow you. So you got to be careful what you say. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know, because a lot of the times I'll realize I'll say something like as a passing remark, and I don't know, in like a meeting or a video or something like that. And sometimes people will just take it, you know, it'll just come into my brain just randomly, but people will take it so seriously. You know what I mean? They'll like, I don't know, make a bunch of, yeah, it's just weird. Okie dokie. Imagine using a $1 million volume coin just because it doesn't have tail emission. I mean, all right. So one weird thing that happened to the YouTube, I don't know, something changed, I think, in how they do live streams. So this live stream it would not open up to the public until I started streaming. So there are actually a lot less people in here than usual. I don't know if it's actually giving notification. I mean, there are people in here. Somehow they got notifications, but whatever. Let's see what they're saying. People are saying. Where are you right now? I'm at the public park. I've been at this park before, but there's so many people here. This is the first time I've been here. Like, I think sometimes when I'm doing chores in town, I'll come out here, like if I have a little bit, and I'll do a stream. But today's the first day I've ever been here over a weekend, and there are a bunch of people here. It's actually sort of weird. So here I am talking to myself. I mean, no one's like right next to me, but and there's some kind of party going on behind me. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so is the audio still good though? That's what I need to know, because I'm still worried about it screwing up. But I will say, as I mentioned before, Pipewire worked really well. Worked pretty fine. I was surprised how easy it was, and I'll probably try it more on my own just to not use Pulseaudio, because I know a lot of people don't like using it, even though it's basically just emulating Pulseaudio in a lot of senses. Or it has like a package, Pipewire Pulse, that, you know, is a drop-in replacement. It by itself is something different, but Pipewire crashed a lot on me, to be honest. Well, yeah, but Pulseaudio crashes a lot on me too, so, you know. Omega sends in 100 Swedish, whatever they are. I think it's Swedish. Elon Musk knows he has a cult following that are indoctrinated to take his every word as fact, and when people promote things like Bitcoin, he's doing it out of self-interest. Also, buy yourself a beer for tea. Beer for, okay, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I mean, like, that's one thing I've always worried about as well, because I'm in the position, like, I could totally do a pump and dump if I wanted to. I could totally buy some random cryptocurrency and then do a bunch of videos on it, get people to buy it, and then I could just dump it all and walk away with money. And I feel like whenever I see someone like Elon Musk talking about it, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like, he's probably too rich to do a pump and dump, but definitely all the people who, everyone on Biz, literally, like, Biz is like a terrible board now, because it's nothing but Pajit coins that aren't going anywhere. But that's all. I mean, that's going to be how it is. So. Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and say, I need to just do a freaking video on it, but if you're not on my PeerTube instance, and if you're not already following me on Library/Odyssey, go ahead and do it. I'll just make my daily announcement. Go down into the video description, go to my personal videos.lukesmith.xyz, register there, or at least subscribe to the RSS, or go to the odyssey.com link. Go there as well and subscribe as well, because don't expect my YouTube channel to last much longer. Having 2 strikes and, you know, I'm accumulating one, you know, every couple of weeks for some video 5 years ago that, you know, some, you know, person found. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the chat, see what's going on. How do you get video notifications on PeerTube? I actually don't know. I would just use the RSS. That's what I would do. I would not. I mean, if I were you, I mean, obviously I have an account on my PeerTube instance, but I would, if I wanted to subscribe to it, I would just use the RSS feature. And when it comes to streams, I will probably. I did this time. I put out a little notification on my blog. Like, go to the RSS for my blog, and so beforehand, I'll usually notify people when I'm streaming. So. Santiago says, why did you get the XYZ extension? Well, because lukesmith.com and .net and .info and everything else, they were already taken. And you know, XYZ was like the one top-level domain that was like, oh, well, it's not like, it's not gimmicky in the sense that it's not like .tech or .soy, .io. Like, it's not like branded with some specific, it's generic, you know what I mean? It's not country-specific. And I liked it. I don't know, XYZ. I just liked it, so I got it. And it was, I really just wanted lukesmith something, right? So XYZ was the only sensible one. And it's very funny to see that by mere virtue of me having an XYZ domain, now they're very popular in China, I'll say that. Extremely popular for Chinese sites. However, I never saw a single .xyz domain until I got one. And now I see them all over the place because I think, and frankly, a lot of my subscribers get them just because of that. So it's like unofficially my top-level domain. I like to think that the only reason it's popular in the English-speaking world is because of me. Because when you find an XYZ domain, the guy who owns it probably knows me, you know? That's just one of the... That's what I tell myself. It's probably pure delusion. All right, let's see. But yeah, with the book reformatting project, I think I might do some videos on Vim because I've been using Vim a lot in that. I did do that video a couple weeks ago on, like, what is it, Vim macros for traditional Catholics or something like that. But, all right, I'm going to look at the chat if you guys have anything smart, actually, to say. But let me guess, I'm going to pull up the chat, and it's going to be the same people asking the same questions over and over again, because that's what it always is. I need to get some bot for my chat that automatically blocks everyone who repeats a question, honestly. The crypto page on your website is broken. Is it? Let me go see. lukesmith.xyz/crypto. It might be because... No, it's working for me. lukesmith.xyz/crypto works. Unless you're looking at some other... I don't know, maybe you're looking at an old link. I might have moved stuff around. I actually redid my website the other day. I now have tagging for my my writing, like blog posts and writings and stuff like that. Have you thought about adding links to a links page to your website, just a page to share some of your favorite sites? Yes, I have. There are a couple like topical pages I'm gonna have on my website soon to do exactly that, because if there's one thing I think people need to do more is linking stuff from their own website. Just be like, oh, here's a site that I like. Because in the world before social media, but also search engines, that's how you found good sites. You'd find someone's site, and then they'd recommend you, hey, check this out. I like this. All right. Farzan F donates $10. Sorry to hear about your recent normie oppression on YouTube. I know you're not a gamer, but would you show interest in a Kekistan versus normie casual game? I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm not a gamer. I think we all know that I'm not a gamer. I'm the anti-gamer. Gamers are the most persecuted race, and I am the one persecuting them. Luke, why did you use CSS on your website, then remove it, then reinstate it? Well, I just wanted to try what it'd be like to have a website without CSS and see how that is. And I thought it was fun for a little bit. But there are just a couple things like updating. If I want to change something, let's say I want to add something to what all my pages have, it's a little hard to do that without CSS, or at least something styling related. Like, oh shoot, I need to put this line in that makes it better on mobile devices. Well, it's sort of a pain to do that on all different pages without CSS. You know, and also theoretically, it also CSS. If you're looking at if you're talking about people who are clicking on multiple pages on a site, it might actually save bandwidth because they load the CSS one time, and if they click on the other pages, you know, they don't have to reload them. So arguably, depending on how small your CSS... Now, obviously, I'm not using freaking bootstrap.min.css or something, some ridiculous soy devery for CSS. I have, like, a CSS file that's very small. But, you know. But, yeah, I mean, they're just hard things to do, and I'd like... You know, I wish there were an easier way to, like, make, I guess... Okay, if you're going to have a static site, I mean, this is the whole reason static site generators exist, really, so people can get nav bars that are the same in all pages. They really need to include common snippets of code. And there really should be a built-in in HTML. Actually, I think there is a built-in in HTML that no one uses anymore that does that, but whatever. Anyway, Mateos sends in 5 reals. Hey, Luke, did you get a strike for talking about the Corona cost last week? Here's 5 reals from an XYZ owner. I mean, I'm very careful about talking about Corona because they literally just ban people. Like, I don't know, I might get banned for not wearing a freaking mask right now. I mean, that's how bad they are on it. But no, I didn't. Like, the thing about it is, whenever they want to get you on technicalities. They don't want you to be that guy who died as a crusader saying, oh, you know, I stuck it to the system and I was telling deep political truths. They don't want to ban you for that. Now, they want to ban you, but they want to ban you for something else. So that's why the strikes that I got were, like, nonsense. They're just, like, you know, whatever. I mean, you can look at the page where I list them all out. What do you think about Pipewire's future? Is it too bloaty for you? I mean, it worked fine. I don't know how big the source code is. It seemed to work. I mean, it seemed to work perfectly as well as Pulseaudio. I don't notice any big improvements, but hey, it worked. And I've never used Jack. I know sometimes people ask about that. Okay. Okay, Bird donates $1. Serious question. What do you think about genital mutilation like circumcision and sub-incision? Except, why would someone... such a random question. I am neither going to circumcise or sub-incise any child of mine, that's for sure. But there's no real purpose to doing that. I mean, the whole... there was a brief period where, like, well, that's still, you know, sort of going on, where, like, Americans, because they were reading their Schofield Bible, and they thought, like, everything Jewish was based, you know, for that period in the 20th century. There was a period where they started circumcising kids for some reason again, when in reality, circumcision went the way of the dodos. No one serious, like, does it, except for some freaking Americans for some reason. But yeah, there's no reason to circumcise your child. You know, if it actually did prevent people from cooming to porn or something like that, I'd be all for it, of course. But it doesn't. I mean, probably makes them, I don't know. Where Camel sends in 5 pounds. Views on Stoicism. I mean, views on X questions I'm not a big fan of. What's it? I mean, it's like saying, what are my views on the Roman Empire? I don't know. I've talked about Stoicism before. I don't know if you mean as a life philosophy or as a philosophical approach, because I guess most of the time people mean it as a life philosophy. They're like, oh, I got to be stoic, right? I got to read, you know, Marcus Aurelius or something like that, right? And you know, it's always a good thing. Like the Stoics are good because they emphasize you not being caught up with things you can't control, and you not getting mad at people for things you can't control. Like, those things are very important. I think nowadays there are too many people like autistically screeching about, I don't know, things that, yeah, that their screeching is not going to change. You know what I mean? So in my personal life, I think Stoicism is a very important thing. However, Stoicism, I think people often don't know, if they're just exposed to the life philosophy aspect of it. Stoicism was like a epistemological approach to science and stuff like that. Aside from that, like, it was really just a constellation of different views. I mean, this kind of life philosophy is one aspect of it. Now, I think, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good introductory book. I know that in that, I know that in my podcast episode I did on Christianity and the Logos or whatever, I think it might have Stoicism in the title. I did quote from a book, I think, that has a pretty good introduction to Stoic philosophy, as it is in like a way of approaching like epistemology and stuff like that, and how they looked at you know, science and the human brain and I don't know, stuff like that. But that's not necessarily the same thing as having a personal Stoic philosophy, right? Okay, I gotta get back to Marcio sends in 25 reals for the Get Me to Go to Brazil fund. He says, Rome Total War playthrough win. Yeah, not gonna happen. Now, I actually, back when I was a game consumer and I wasted my early 20s and teenage years playing video games, I actually did play a lot of Rome Total War for a period. Eventually got tired of that, obviously. But yeah, man, I wish I could go back and play less video games. You know, the funniest thing is sometimes I'll give in to the temptation and I'll play a video game that I haven't played in like 10 years that I have all these nostalgic feelings about, and it's always such a letdown, you know? Wow, I'm gonna go play Deus Ex. Oh wow, it sucks now. Like, who cares? Oh wow, I'm gonna play my old Nintendo 64, Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it all sucks now. Like, it's in print. Like, it sounds like, oh, I can't wait to relive all those moments, but you really don't want to. You know what I mean? I think of myself as sort of a nostalgic person sometimes, but then I actually experience it, and I'm like, nah, actually, screw that. LNR sends in £5. I'm thinking about getting an old ThinkPad, but I might actually get a 64-core Threadripper system with 4 GPUs for work. Maybe I'll get both. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, ThinkPads are always, like, I mean, I've had a couple ThinkPads, and I don't think I've ever spent, I mean, once you buy them on eBay or whatever, there's no reason for you to ever spend more than $100 on them. I actually got a new ThinkPad last year. My old X220 sort of broke. It had some electrical problems in it that I couldn't fix. So yeah, I just paid $90 and got a new computer, and it works fine. And the worst thing, like the worst wear and tear I'm really bad with all my computers, I'll tell you that. Like, I'll throw them all over the place. I don't care. Maybe I should be more careful. Maybe they're going to be pretty scarce sometime soon. But the only thing that really breaks on them, or the thing that's most likely to break, is a keyboard. And you can actually get, keyboards are, you know, they're maybe $40 to replace. Probably less than that. I actually ended up replacing this keyboard more recently than that. I forget how much it was. I ended up buying like a off-brand though. It's obviously Chinese. You know, it has, well, I would show you, but I don't know. You don't need to see my screen and all. But it's obviously someone trying to imitate it looks 90% like a ThinkPad keyboard, but you can tell that like they're using a different font and stuff like that. Some Chinese, you know, company made it. Okay, so how is the stream going? Because YouTube just has a thing that says, oh, we're not receiving enough, I don't know, it says that it might not be smooth right now. Might be going slow. OBS says it's fine. It might just be my YouTube window screwed up. So if it's going slow, say so. Actually, maybe I should just check and see. No one's complaining about it. Okay, someone's saying lagging. Views on anime, no. Stupid. Low FPS, but otherwise good. Okay. OBS says it's streaming pretty fine, but yeah, YouTube is a little slow. But as long as the audio is good and there's some kind of... I wish I could stream audio only to YouTube, because if I could, I would stream from my house all the time. Alright. Mile Wide sends in $100. Have money. Enjoy. And I was like, oh. Well, thank you. Very generous. You could have come up with a really long thing for me to respond to with that. You could buy my time. Audio has some sort of buzzing noise. That might just be the wind, to be honest. Do you ever get a feeling that your fan base is becoming a little cringe? Oh yeah, all the time. Well, firstly, one thing that I don't like about my fan base, I mean, this is not personal to anyone, but I will say there's no, like, and this is probably because my channel is a little disorganized. I do videos on a lot of different topics. I don't try and make a weird cult. But one thing about the people who watch my channel is there's no, like, commonality, I feel like, between them. And that, like, I have so many different people who watch the channel and have different perspectives, and, like, I don't feel like, you know, let's say, you know, someone like PewDiePie, he has, like, an archetypical fan, whereas I don't feel like I have one of those, you know. And if you go to other channels, they have more archetypical consumers, you know. So that in that sense, and this is one thing I realized when I started the forum all those years back. I was like, dude, my subscribers are not... Like, I thought they would be little clones of me, but they're actually not. That's the weird thing, you know? Maybe that sounds arrogant, I don't know, but... But it doesn't, like, annoy me, you know? You have so many weebs in your audience. I mean, not as many as others, I don't know. I have more Pajeets than most. Oh, I can't say that. Soy devs of color than most. I don't know why. Like, I think I have a more international audience than most other people. Paulo sends in 5 reals. I think I missed an update on that. What happened to your antenna for 4G project? Did it work? How about that Tesla internet thing? Did you test it? So I've actually talked about this in a couple different live streams. I need to just do... I actually even recorded a video about this that was supposed to come out during the period that YouTube banned me. So that's why it didn't go up. But I'll tell you now here, I probably should record another video on it. Yeah, so I have the internet, the antenna, and I've gotten it working in different places, but I haven't gotten it working at my house. I need to, like, get it perfectly aligned and stuff like that. And, you know, I had to get, like, equipment to climb up on my tower and all this kind of stuff. But as to the Tesla, the Soylink, the Starlink thing, I did put some of the money that I raised on that down on Starlink too. So you pay $100 and, you know, so I think later in the year I'll get Starlink. They'll send it to my house or whatever. So if the 4G internet thing does not work, I'm hoping that Starlink works. I don't know. I don't trust Elon Musk at all, but hey, I'll put the money down. I'll see if it works. I mean, I'll tell everyone if it's a big fraud or something like that. But I will tell you that the 4G internet, I said I don't have it perfectly aligned yet, and I'm still working out a bunch of bugs with the routers and all this kind of stuff. And it's been sort of on the back burner, honestly, the past couple months because I had a bunch of normie stuff come up. But it is not working as well as I thought it was going to work. Okay. It's harder to overcome like bandwidth caps. Even when I test it in an ideal place, my bandwidth might be capped. Now, it might be capped at a rate that's still possible to do live streams, but that was a big problem. But yeah, getting it actually up on the tower was not that difficult, but I need to test it more. And I might actually need to get a different antenna, because I ended up getting a, not omnidirectional ones. The ones that, I need to get a parabolic grid, because I got the classic MIMO antennas. I think that's what they're called. I forget what they're called. There was a period where I was doing all this research and I knew all the terminology, but now I'm like, oh shoot. Okay, let me... Okay, let me pull up donations and chat again. Okay, Cal's Fang donates $5. Can you recommend a Thinkpad? I prefer small laptops that are more portable. The laptop that I use is the X220. Anything that starts with X, that means the small ones. Okay, the T's are the bigger ones, and then I think they have W's that are like, you know, workstation equivalents that are massive. You just get an X series. So X220 is the oldest one that has the classic keyboard. Some people really like the classic keyboard. But if you don't care about that, you can get an X230 or one of the later X series. Now X200, which is earlier than the X220, of course, that is the last one where you can install LibreBoot and totally remove the Intel management engine. So if you're really interested in free software and security and privacy, and you might be willing to install LibreBoot, which requires you opening up the computer and hooking up a little microcomputer and stuff like that, and programming it and stuff like that. But if you're open to doing that, having an X200 might be good as well. But I also like the X200, actually for two other superficial reasons. One is the X200 does not have a trackpad. It only has a track point. I never use a trackpad. I only care about the track point. So it's a benefit for me, it not having it. Secondly, and this is so annoying to me, the X220 does not have a battery notification, like right visible from when you're looking at it. It has a battery notification light on the back side of the screen, but not in front of you. So the only reason I have like a battery module on my status bar is because I don't have that light. Like, I'd really like that hardware light. It'd be nice to have. And the X200 has that, but they got rid of that when they made the X220. But either way, the X220, it's very consistent. It's fast. It has an i5. Oh yeah, the X200, to be clear, is using an Intel Core 2 Duo. So that would be totally fine if you're using a setup like mine that's like minimalistic, running Linux. It's not going to run on freaking Windows 10 or something like that. You know, it's just not going to work. Okay. All right, let me pull up the chat for a second. After using a track point, I can't stand trackpads. Yeah, trackpads are totally useless. Once you go trackpad, you will never ever go back. You will never want to, oh, let me move my hand all over the place to move the mouse. No, it's great. You can literally type while you're moving the mouse. It's crazy. It's great. Okay. Alright, looking at the chat. Will your YouTube channel be closed? I mean, when they close it, yes. When they ban me, yes. That's why, again, video description, go to my personal video site. You can subscribe there. Go to Odyssey, subscribe there. Odyssey might actually end up being a site that makes it. There have been 1,000,001 YouTube equivalents, YouTube alternatives that have come and gone. Odyssey, however, I think it might stay. I think it has enough people. It has sort of the networking effects that there are actually people who watch it. You know what I mean? Which is not the case in, like, freaking BitChute. Or VidMe. Remember VidMe? Oof. Pieface sends in 5 reals. So many Brazilians. Do you feel like university failed you? Did you expect it to be a place where people are pursuing the truth when you were younger? I don't know if I maybe I did. I expected people to be minorly deluded by politics in universities, but yeah, I did think that, oh, there's going to be some sense in which, like, you can make it no matter, you know, you can have, you can solve problems smartly, you can find smart solutions and stuff like that, and people will appreciate that. But that ain't the case. Like, universities were worse than I could ever imagine. I want to do, I don't know, I sort of, I'm thinking about, and maybe this is weird, but I need someone to interview me about my time in university. A couple of years ago, this guy, what was his name? Justin Murphy. Okay, some of you guys might watch his channel. He's actually sort of, well, he has very soy dev physiognomy, I'll just tell you that. And I think he's technically some kind of leftist. But then I think he read like Moldbug or stuff, and he got a little red-pilled, and he does interviews of random people. He asked to interview me a couple years ago, and I sort of regret not doing it, because I would have talked about, because, you know, he talks a lot about academia and stuff, and I would have talked about that kind of stuff with him. But the other thing is, like, I'm not big on, I wish, you know, if someone's going to interview me, I'd rather it be in real life, too. I don't know, it just seems really lame doing an online interview, but, you know, that's just how I feel. BitChute really lacks that suggestion bar. I mean, BitChute lacks a lot of things. They don't have a functioning search engine. Like, if you go to BitChute right now and search my name, you probably won't find my channel. You'll just find random videos that have nothing to do with me or anything else. It's just really trashy. Miles Edgelord, talk about Pirate Chain. Do I want to talk about Pirate Chain? Well, okay, I'll say this, because I mentioned this earlier in the stream, I think. So, Monero. If you are in cryptocurrency, if you want a truly private cryptocurrency, Monero is the currency to have. Okay? I'm not saying it's going to go up. I don't know if it's going to go up. I think it's going to go up, personally. But don't take my word on it. Do your own research. Monero is the one to have. However, there are many other privacy or pseudo-privacy coins out there. Some that are extremely bad at it, like Zcash, that has this shielding thing that doesn't work because it's optional. But Pirate Chain it takes that kind of technology that I think that Zcash does, and it's supposed to be like Monero, be a fully private currency. And Pirate Chain, along with Wownero that I mentioned, Pirate Chain has gone up like huge. Like, it went from like 30 cents to maybe $14 within a week or something like that. It went way up. Now, do I recommend this currency? In terms of investment advice, no comment. I don't know what it's going to do. It might fall down to freaking $1 or less. It might go up to $100 bajillion. I don't know. But I'll say this about Pirate Chain. There are two big flaws about that. Firstly, if you look into the how it was constructed, it is not a fully trustless setup. You have to trust that the developers, and I think this has to do with Zcash or maybe it's Komodo. I forget. It's weird. The Pirate Chain thing is based on... is built into the Komodo blockchain, which is built into the Bitcoin blockchain. Either way, Pirate Chain does not have a fully trustless setup. Theoretically, the developers could keep the private keys that they had when they created the system, and they would be able to automatically create money, basically. That is the number one problem with one hypothetical problem with Pirate Chain. Maybe you totally trust them, but here's the bigger problem with Pirate Chain. 90% of Pirate Chain has already been mined, okay? Pirate Chain, you've never heard of it. It's a currency out there that's been, I don't know, maybe a couple years, but 90% of it has already been mined. Meaning, the 5 people who knew about it for all these years, they own that 90%. Meaning they're going to dump on you. Meaning I'm not saying it's a rug pull, but even if it is it becomes a legitimate currency, firstly, it's going to be very unevenly distributed, which isn't by itself bad, but these people have an excised portion of the wealth. Whereas if Pirate Chain were more, I guess, equitably created, and if it were mined over a longer period, this would not be the case. It's really just kind of a steal. It's almost like having an ICO or like a dev tax. They really just start with all this coin. Now, to compare that, Wownero, fork of Monero, that has a limited supply, only about 20% of Wownero has been mined after the couple of years it's been in existence. So 90% of Pirate Chain is mined versus 20% of Wownero. Okay, so that's why I don't really trust Pirate Chain. If I were to invest in it, it would be only as a pump and dump. Oh, maybe I think it's going to go up. You know, I don't necessarily trust the system. Miles Edgelord says, I legit have 2800R. That's R is the Pirate Chain ticker. Okay. You're not supposed to tell people how much of a private currency you have. Why does it sound like you're filming outside in a school? Because I am at a public park, and you can probably hear there are actually people all around me. They're like, wow, who is this boomer who's at this table talking to himself? No one is actually that close to me, but you can probably hear kids yelling. Okay. Alright. $3. He says, I just got my first job at 23 as a network admin. I'm making a good amount of money, and I've come across the opportunity to move back to Mexico and live on some family land. It's large, empty, and desertic, but it's free. Is it worth moving to Mexico where I can take my gains legally? Plus, I think Mexico is just as bad as the U.S. anyway. Pictures of the general area of the land. He sends them some pictures. I guess I can look at that. So I would totally recommend you. I mean, I think that's a good thing if you want to move back in your family's land, even if it's, you know, okay, he sends in some pictures. Yeah, it looks, I mean, it's not like that deserty desert, but, you know, it's like shrubs and stuff. It's the same kind of stuff we had in Arizona. I think it's a good idea, honestly. You could probably do some kind of limited gardening in there. I mean, even if there's really crappy soil, you could probably do gardening if you want to do that. But I highly recommend that. And yeah, as to, you know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, Mexico is a total crappy country, but hey, America is about at that level now, most places in America. I totally recommend that, like, if you want to move to Mexico and do that. I mean, that's what I did. Like, the place where I moved, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, dude, that's, like, the last place I want to be, man. It's, like, people out there, it's weird and country, but then I moved there. And he says, also, you can live stream audio only with Icecast. I know of Icecast. I remember trying to get an Icecast server working, but it doesn't stream, or wait. Okay, if you're saying I stream audio to Icecast, and then Icecast streams a video to YouTube with that audio, maybe that would work. But, I mean, the issue is YouTube doesn't, there are kids running around and yelling at each other. YouTube, you have to have a video stream in order to have a live stream. That's the only annoying part. PeerTube is not that case. I think you don't actually need it on PeerTube. Roof of my mouth is itchy. Okay. Was the picture on your website taken at Walmart? That's a good question. I'll let you guess where that was taken. It looks like it was taken at Walmart. My cousin, she keeps nagging me to change that picture because she's like, it looks so stupid. Actually, a lot of people who were like, oh, dude. Well, that was also when I didn't have this kind of hair. I shaved all this, and I just had this for maximum creepiness. And yeah, it doesn't look that bad in that picture, but it does look. I look more normal now than I did then, so I have thought about it. I should make myself more. I should be more of an optics cuck, and try and make myself more presentable. What happened in your last? What happened to you in the last year of uni? Seems like that really. It wasn't the last year. It was the whole thing. Eventually, I just quit. I feel like I'll have to do an interview with someone or do a write-up. Well, doing a write-up would be boring. Probably I'll do an interview. Like, if you know someone who wants to interview me, that's fine. I'll do that eventually. I've been meaning to talk about that for years, and now I feel like I pretty much don't. I've pretty much severed all ties to finishing my PhD. Like, I have no pretense of doing that, but No, it's not. That's not a picture from the University of Arizona. It's more recent than that. I got that since I moved around here. Let's see. Why not Nginx plus RTMP? I think let's see. I've played around with that a couple times. I think I don't really know that much. I need to just do more research to make sure I know how to use RTMP properly. And either way, like, I'm gonna have to stream it somewhere, and I don't know, get it to work out. Okay. S for Inju sends in $0. Wait, is that actually $0? How did that work? How did he do that? Or maybe, no, maybe that's a Unicode arrow. Okay, it's 40 of some currency whose symbol is hiding the 4. He says, thoughts on Urbit? Not many. Yes, I know about him, of course. But I don't know, I've never gotten into it. I'll just say that. I mean, from what I hear about it, it sounds like a good idea. And of course, I'm familiar with Moldbug. It seems weird that I haven't gotten into it, you know what I mean? But I just haven't. I don't know that much about it. So. All right, David just donated 10 a month. Thank you. What do you think of buying gold/silver bullion to hedge against inflation? I mean, I think, well, I think pretty much in any case, I mean, I don't have any gold or silver. Well, I guess I nominally have some silver that I have in the form of coins from, years ago, back when America had real money. But, like, I don't really recommend it. I'll say it this way. I think that cryptocurrency is a better investment than gold and silver as it is right now. The only place in which it would be a worse investment is if you literally think the world is going to end and the internet is going to end with it. And by extension, Bitcoin and all the rest, they will end. Then I would consider gold and silver. Like, if I actually thought that was going to happen, which I don't necessarily... Like, I'm all for collapse. I embrace it. I am a total hapooner. I cannot wait for it to happen. But I don't think it's going to happen. So that's why I'd rather store value in cryptocurrency than gold and silver. And even in, like, a disaster scenario, even in, like, a survivalist situation where society collapses, gold and silver is not going to be as useful as you think. Because it's like, okay, you have gold. How are you going to divide it to pay for things? How are you going to, I don't know, like, how does that even work? Like, if you just have an ingot of gold, really, what are you going to do for it? Just give it to someone, like, after a collapse? It's one of those things, gold... Well, I'll say this. One of the reasons that Bitcoin is not Bitcoin sucks, but, Monero or something like that, or a digital currency is so necessary, is that gold and all other precious metals are deficient in that they can't really be used as currencies. That's why paper money exists. It originally existed as a way of annotating ownership of gold, right? And that actually started the fiat currency system indirectly, once you detether it from gold. So gold itself is not, like, in order for gold to actually be valuable and for you to actually exchange it, you have to have some level of civilizational complexity, right? So really, if you hold gold or silver, you're betting, I think that I think that we're going to have... Society is going to collapse most of the way, but not all the way. We'll lose the internet, but we'll still have social functions to, like, divide up gold, or maybe even the metallurgical technology to do that. So I'm just not that person. I'm not against... I mean, if someone gave me an ingot of gold, would I redeem it for Bitcoin? Probably not. I'd probably hold on to it. Why not? But, that's just how I feel. $10 from Mr. Timotheus Ward. He says, I recently followed your tutorial to set up my own website. Really appreciate the content. Any recommendations on what I could use to run an FTP server? I've never actually run an FTP server, so I could not tell you the first thing to do there. When it comes to me transferring files between computers, I pretty much always use rsync, and that's it. I've never really used the FMT protocol, unless, I mean, rsync doesn't actually use FMTP, or FTP, does it? I don't even know. I'm not quite sure. It might on the back end. Either way, that's what I use for transferring files, but it depends on your use case, but I don't specifically know. Okay. BJ donates $5. I've never heard you talk about abortion. I assume you're anti-abortion, but do you think that banning it is the most important political priority in the West? Well, I don't talk about it because, like most things, I don't think that talking about it in itself is going to convince people. Yes, of course, I'm anti-abortion, and I think it should be banned. But like, I don't know. I don't really feel like it's an issue that I don't know. I'm thinking about all the time. I feel like it's sort of a girls' issue, like on both sides. Well, I know there's this meme that liberals convince themselves of, which, like, you can just look at statistics and it's literally not true. This idea that, like, men are pro-life and women are pro-choice, which is totally not true. It's really just women are overrepresented on the pro-choice and pro-life side, right? And, to me, it's actually less. I mean, there is the sense in which, you're talking about a child's life or whatever. But I think there's a metaphysical debate there about, what's the proper role of of women in society, because if you're pro-abortion, implicitly what you're saying is that the highest prerogative, in a sense, is for a woman to have unobstructed access to sexual behavior without any consequences, right? And mind you, it's not even being against it's not even saying when people who are against abortion are not necessarily against contraception. So it's really, if you're pro-abortion, you're saying women need whatever they can to sever sex from the natural consequences of sex, right? Which, up to the extent that you don't even, you don't mind aborting children, which I find very weird. And it's implicitly, you're just saying the goal of sexual intercourse is cooming, basically. So, yeah, but either way, like, I don't really find it very... the reason I don't talk about it in most specific political issues is because I don't think it's important. It is important, but I don't think it's something that you just talking about is going to convince people just magically. Because it's based on more... it's based on kind of what I just said. Like, it has to do with how you view... Like, do you view women as, like, an empowered woman is one who maximized the number of cooming sessions she has. Now, if that is what you think the best woman could be, then maybe you're going to be pro-abortion. Whereas if you think, wow, the greatest thing a woman can do is literally give birth to another person, you're probably going to be on the pro-life side. So, yeah, the issue itself is not, it's downstream of something more fundamental. Okay. All right, a bunch of letters just donated $10. Thoughts on XRP specifically? Not really. I don't think about XRP on Ripple. That's a cryptocurrency. I will say this: the other day, one of my friend's dads, he came up. He started a conversation. A boomer, to be clear. He started a conversation about, what kind of cryptocurrencies do you own, Luke? And I was like, didn't really want to answer because I don't think it's appropriate to talk about that kind of stuff anyway. But he told me how he FOMO'd into Ripple, and I was like, dude, that's such a boomer thing. Like, XRP, I don't know. For me, I don't know enough about it to have an opinion on it, but I will say that I think it's probably, it went through a big bubble last bull run and then crashed down cataclysmically, which I think is very funny, but I don't really have opinions about it, to be honest. He also, what else did he say? He said he was looking into BNB too. Oh boy, which went up a lot. But that's like one thing that annoys me is like cryptocurrency blockchain technology that is anti-decentralization. You know what I mean? That's the most annoying thing. People will do it, but it's silly. Yes donates $10. Why do you advise using services like Vulture? In other videos, you are against cloud services. Is it cheaper, or is there another reason? I ask as I recently made my own site on it, an old i5 machine. So the reason I recommend VPS is, now, yeah, that's totally true. I think that you should always keep a backup of whatever you have on that VPS, just in case, you realize you can't rely on them. But I will say VPSs, firstly, I need one where I am because I can't handle that many connections. Like, even if I had a minor website, my internet is too slow. But, I still have a minor website, but I do get hits I do, have a lot of people watching my stuff now, so it would not be possible for me to host that at my own house. And if I wanted to host it somewhere else, there are just a bunch of liabilities. And from my perspective, it's cheap enough, and they don't get in your face. Like, there's not a habit of them banning people. So I think it's an acceptable compromise, and it's worked out for me. And additionally, it makes it easier for me to do tutorials, because whenever I do tutorials, I'll just use Vultr because that's what I use. There's another one that I sometimes use as well for my peertube instance, but it's nice having everyone on the same page. Like, this is where you put in your RDNS record on Vultr. There are some things that'll be easier. So yeah, I mean, if that works for you, if you just need a Raspberry Pi or an old computer to run your website or your email server, that's great. But I'm thinking more like, I'll just say that I can't do that, and VPSs are a better one-size-fits-all solution, and they're so cheap now compared to how it used to be, So, but, you do whatever you think is good. You guys know if your mail server at home, or if you have your mail server at home, all your email goes into spam for other people no matter what, because there's our DNS thing that you can't have. Is that true? I don't actually know. Because I've actually never set up my own website at my own house. I thought about doing it the last place I lived where I had really fast internet, but I've never actually had to set that up. So there are some steps you don't have to do if you have a VPS, a VPS, because obviously you don't have to set up a static IP and stuff. Did anyone respond to your vegan article? Yeah, I actually got a lot of responses to that. Most of them were like, just emails like based, and there were some like really, but there were one or two, I think, that were really butthurt about it, like vegans who gave these like long text replies. But yeah, most people are like, oh man, this is awesome. It's usually when I put out an article on my website, I might get one or two responses, or I'll get responses over a period of time. But the vegan article, a lot of people responded to immediately. And actually normies in my real life, my uncle, when I saw him the next time, he was like, oh, I read this article you wrote about vegans. It's pretty based. Well, he didn't say that, but anyway, there have been a couple things that I have a couple articles that I want to write. I want to do more text-based stuff. That's the true red pill, guys. Luke, what's your favorite 4chan board? They're all bad. The only one that I ever go on for some stupid reason every once in a while is I'll sometimes go on Biz. But since the bull run really started, Biz is like all trash. It's all Pajit coins. I'm sorry, Soydev of color coins. I have a filter of every single stupid rug pull that they're trying to meme people into using. Man, Luke Smith, your family is actually based AF. No, actually, my family is normal. Like, normal people are just based. Dab on vegans. Someone posted that, so. Okay. All right, I am at, oh my goodness, I'm at 6% battery. I'm gonna have to go soon. I did not bring a charger, and there's no place to charge out here anyway. Shoot. So if you have last minute donations or comments, go ahead and make them. I'm gonna check, let's see. I'll check for last donations. Go ahead and give them now. I'll probably have a couple more minutes. Oh, it's at 5%. KF sends in $5. If you want to host a physical server at home, just get business internet. It's not that expensive, and you get a static IP. Okay, so you don't know where I live, buddy. That would mean some company putting a wire miles and miles away from where they have any good internet all the way to my house. That would probably cost them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get. Yeah, I mean, if you're giving that advice to other people who might be listening, yeah, sure, maybe that'll work. That's fine, but it's not going to work it for me. Oh, look at that. That's a funny looking spider. It's moving fast. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Okay. Same guy posting the same thing over and over again. Oh, and it's a boomer thing because it's him not understand. I like it when people ask you to explain how cryptocurrency works or why it should be valuable. It's like, dude, I don't care if you don't buy any. You don't have to. Don't. It doesn't harm me. All right, $10 from Nicholas. I don't think he gave a comment here. Thank you, though. I don't see a comment. Oh, yeah, one other thing before I want to go. There's this way that you can tip Monero that I'm trying to get figured out on my website. So it's really cool. You can you can basically have a Monero blockchain viewer. And whenever you get you can have people send you donations with Monero. It's really cool. And I'd really like to get that thing working pretty soon. All right, we're at 5%. Okay, yeah, Nicholas didn't send any comment with that, but thank you for that. Let's see. Honestly, Luke, I believe it's great for private purchases, but the pump and dumping scares me off. Well, again, it's not Bitcoin is not private. Monero is private. Get Monero. The other ones don't matter. Bitcoin doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend, in this, again, not investment advice, but I would just put some money down on Monero just to have it, because one way that sometimes people describe it is that owning cryptocurrency is owning a set portion of a future financial system. You know what I mean? Like, you're having a share of that, okay? It's just nice to have. Even if you expect it, you don't expect to get money out of it, it's a good idea just to, get a little bit of Monero just to have it. I think that's a good idea. Carl Healy sends in $10, says, thanks, Luke. Thank you. All right, well, I think that's almost it. It's still at 5%. My battery is still at 5%. Oh, man. I need to have a better posture when I'm recording. I need to arch my back. Feels good. Trying to think what I have to do today. All right, I guess that's about it. Last comments, go video description, go to PeerTube, go to Odyssey, subscribe to me on both channels. Expect YouTube to be deleted any day now. I don't know when it's going to happen. I might do some tutorial videos on setting up websites, setting up RSS, setting up whatever, just to get more people off of social media platforms onto the real internet. Okay? But that's just, something to think about. Okay. Oh, I wasn't recording this live stream, but it should go live to YouTube anyway. YouTube has its own recording. All right, everyone. I guess I'll turn it off. I'll see you guys. Oh, my laptop's beeping. That's perfect time. All right, I might actually make a video, or not a video. Maybe I'll make a write-up on why cryptocurrency, quote-unquote, should have value. Maybe, in good faith, I should explain it to some people, because, it might change their life. All right, that's about it.